hell of a thing. Donald Trump tells Hannity, hey, listen, I didn't say lock her up. They said it, damn it. He didn't say it like that. That's his inside voice. But he's blaming MAGA. So this is now a doubling down of the lie he told just a few days ago that we exposed. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. I'm going to bring it to you and explain why he's doing this. Here it is.
You pledge to restore equal justice, equal application of our laws, end this practice of weaponization. Is that a promise you're going to make?
You have to do it. But it's awful. Look, I know you want me to say something.
No, I don't want you to say. I'm asking.
But I don't want to look naive.
I don't want
what they've done to the Republican Party, they want to arrest on no crime. They want to arrest the person that won the nomination in a landslide. There was nobody even close in a landslide. The person that got millions of votes, more votes than any other sitting president in history in the last election. The person that won an election that he wasn't expected to win against Hillary Clinton in 2016. They want to arrest that person on no crime. They want to arrest, there was no crime. There was no criminality, there was no crime. And you can go back to all of these legal scholars. They can't believe what's happening. Some of them don't even like me, and they're saying this is a very, very dangerous thing that's happening. No, we can't let this happen. And I will do everything in my power not to let. But there's tremendous criminality here. What they're doing to me, if it's going to continue, we're really not going to have much of a country left. It is weaponization. You call it lawfare, you call it, some people call it just warfare. But it is weaponization of the election. And we're talking about, I think, the most important election in the history of our country. This will go down, I believe, as the most important election in the history of our country. We can't have this stuff go on. Because you know what? When Biden goes out, everyone says bye-bye, and then he gets indicted 2 days later and they go after him. The country doesn't want that.
Correction, sir, a lot of people in the country actually would like you to be in jail. But here's the thing. You continue to misrepresent your lock her up participation. This is baffling because you proudly embraced it at one point, but you continue to double down as if it just happened and you were not a part of it. Here it is.
And you know what? They didn't want it with Hillary Clinton either. I thought it was terrible. You know, I'd make a speech, everyone would say, lock her up, lock her up, lock. And I was at a UFC fight the other night with Dana White, who's a fantastic.
You got a terrible reception.
Yeah,
I did well. I'm kidding.
You better tell them.
I'm kidding. I'm not telling Dana that.
People don't understand sometimes sarcasm.
We played it. It was pretty overwhelming.
It was 25,000 people, whatever they had going. Absolutely. There wasn't a negative. But you know what? What I watched, and it was some of the fighters, two in particular, hated their opponent. And this went on for months. The fight, was broadcast out, and they announced the fight, and the hatred was real. It was the real deal. These people they have a lot of hatred, and they hate it. And then the fight ended, and they're hugging and kissing in the ring. They're down, sitting they're hugging and kissing. It's like nothing happened. Happened on two fights. There were tremendous animosity between the two fighters and the other two fighters. And at the end, that's what happened. And in a certain way, after we won against Hillary, people would say, lock her up, lock her up. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible if I locked up the wife of the President of the United States, former, and locked up the former Secretary of State? It's a terrible thing. You're starting, if you want to bring the country together. I want to bring the country together. And success does bring the country together.
Yeah, I have a whole lot more. So he says, I thought it was terrible. Lock her up, okay? And then he goes on to say, the people that were fighting, they hated each other. Then they kissed at the end. That's competition. They're prize fighters, sir, or involved in a sporting event. Now, here's the thing. The reality is Donald Trump did say lock her up. The reality is Donald Trump tried to get his Department of Justice to arrest political opponents. They simply did not do it. So much so that he tried to get outside help from a foreign nation. to arrest, investigate the Bidens. Now, for those who may not remember, here it is.
They all said lock her up, and I felt, and I could have done it, but I felt it would have been a terrible thing. And then this happened to me. And so I may feel differently about it. Like Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people would all say lock her up, lock her up. Okay, then we won. And I said pretty openly, I say, all right, come on, just relax, let's go. We gotta make our country great.
So he points at himself and he says, I didn't say lock her up. Yes, you did.
Tell you what, for what she's done, they should lock her up. It's disgraceful. Hillary Clinton has to go to jail, okay? She has to go to jail. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
He want to lock everybody up. The irony is unreal. He ran a campaign on lock her up, lock her up. He's the only one going to jail. He ran a campaign on these individuals are corrupt. These individuals are committing crimes. Sir, a jury of American citizens both indicted you and convicted you of being corrupt, of engaging in criminal activity. And let's get to it. All right, so former President Donald Trump absurdly claimed that Sean Hannity that he thought it was terrible when his rally crowds would start chanting "lock her up." Keep that picture up for everybody who is MAGA. This is called him throwing you under the bus. You were there. You were at the events. You were energized by him saying "lock her up." He's saying the whole damn thing was your idea. You did it. He didn't want to do it. He thought it was terrible that you all were saying such a thing. Mr. Clutch My Pearls. There's more. Despite evidence to the contrary, he continues to say this, and despite a recent effort to distance himself from them through lying, Trump has freely enjoyed chants of "lock her up" since the 2016 campaign, which his crowds were still chanting just, last week. In an interview with Fox and Friends on Weekend, he also falsely claimed Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people said lock her up, lock her up. Hannity scored an exclusive interview with Trump, to which he devoted Wednesday night's edition of Fox News Channel's Hannity. In one lengthy exchange, remember, Hannity tried several times to get Trump. This was interesting because I actually thought Hannity was attempting to do something halfway decent. He was trying to get Trump to pledge not to exact retribution if he wins, but Trump kept wandering off topic. Eventually, a reluctant Trump said to Hannity, quote, "I know you want me to say something so nice," and went into a digression about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and USC fights. So Trump says what they have done to the Republican Party. Sir, who is they? You talking about the Democratic Party? They're enemies of the Republican Party, sir. They are political adversaries. They're supposed to do things against the Republican Party, but what have you done to the Republican Party? My goodness. I mean, you have done what Democrats could have never done. They will never be able to recover. After you are gone, sir, the Republican Party will take 50, 60, 70 years to figure out their identity because they have none. You took their spine out of their bodies. There's more. So they want to arrest the person that won the nomination in a landslide. He says, there was nobody even close in a landslide. The person that got millions of votes, more votes than any other sitting president in history in the last election. The person that won an election that it wasn't expected to win. Sir, your winning an election has nothing to do with the criminal allegations that are against you, but he would prefer to actually give or get a pass given his, victory in a primary. There's more. He says, no, we cannot let this happen. I will do everything in my power not to let, but there's tremendous criminality here. What they're doing to me, if it's going to continue, we're really not going to have much of a country left. It is weaponization. You call it lawfare. You call it, some people call it just warfare, but it is weaponization of the election. And we're talking about it, I think, the most important election in the history of our country. Fascinating, right? Okay. There's a point that should be echoed very loudly. You see, presidents, according to the Constitution, do not have the authority to arrest anybody. They do not have the constitutional right to put anyone domestically in jail. They do not have that right. They do have a Department of Justice. These dynamics are supposed to remain well separate. Biden is not prosecuting him in Manhattan, New York, Georgia, or anywhere else. As a matter of fact, to the detriment, in my opinion, of his own political campaign, Biden has said very little about the reality of Trump's criminal conviction and remains the institutional president that he is, because Biden still believes there's something sacred about the institution of the presidency. Sir, whatever was sacred about that political office left with the election and entry of Donald Trump. The only thing sacred now are the voters who put you there. You have nothing else sacred left. All right, a whole lot of lies being told here, Senator. And obviously Trump is trying to make a case that he is the guy being the victim and he has no other choice but to arrest them if he gets elected president again.
I want to say I'm surprised, Dr. Richey, but I am not. What is up is down and what is down is up when it comes to former President Donald J. Trump. Don't believe your lying eyes or your lying ears. When the man chanted, lock her up. Oh, Lord have mercy. I swear to you, I want to see Rod Serling from that excellent, excellent series, The Twilight Zone. I wish the brother would just peek on out, Doc. I swear to you. This man is, I mean, he's starting to believe, he believes his own lies. He really does. And that's how he's able to try to convince himself first and then try to convince others. It's something, boy, when the legal system is not quite working right for you, privileged white man in America. I wish he had these same sentiments as generations of Black people and poor people across the racial ethnic spectrum have been crying out saying something is wrong with the legal system. But now Donald Trump, he really understands it now.
Yeah, you know, those Black people, they didn't win a Republican primary by a landslide.
That's right.
That's the difference. Okay, all right, we'll bring you updates as they come.